see 256 is a game, and in a game, your score is your grade. In a game, you also should start thinking about how to strategize what to do. And what we'll do in this video is help you think about how to strategize it between the different kinds of assignments, what you might want to do, and how. Let's begin by talking about the possible maximum points. There are 27 lectures. You get 50 points for each lecture you attend, for a possible individual total of 1350. These are individual points only. Guild gets nothing. There will be 23 reading quizzes for a possible total of 100 per quiz. You might not get the full points. You might. If you get the full points all of the 23 times, you'll get 2300 points. Again, Guild gets nothing. If you're interested in undertaking the book quest, you're encouraged to do so just with one book, and you may earn 1000 points. If you want to turn your guild into a book group, and you want to read the book with somebody else from your guild can get 1000 points for that. A guild is responsible for creating its blog. It can get up to 500 points, depending on its design, and so on. We expect each guild blog to have at least 10 posts. Individuals get up to 300 points per post for a possible total of 1200 points. That could be 4 perfect 300-point posts, could be 5 or 6 or 7 less than perfect posts. And a guild may earn up to 3000 points. So basically that's how it amounts to, 10 or more. Each individual can get up to 100 points for each time he or she comments on another guild's blog for a possible total of 1000 points. These are individual points, so guild gets nothing. There will be 4 minor quests throughout the semester, and each individual is encouraged to try at most 2, but of course, if you don't get perfect scores from the 2 for a possible total of 1000, you can try more. A guild may earn up to 2000 points for these quests. Each individual can also try a major quest. These take the whole semester, and so you will get also lots of points, up to 2000. A guild basically should produce 2 very good major quests, or 3 or 4 or more not that great quests, major quests. An individual may take notes for his or her guild the entire time, 25 times, for a possible total of 2500 points. But we really don't encourage that, unless you really want to take notes for the whole semester, because the guild gets just 2500 points, an individual may get up to 2500, but there's no point, as you will see in just a moment, why an individual should do that. Finally, quickly, there are random points. You might earn them in many different ways. You will figure out how as you get them, for a possible total of 1000. We don't expect anybody to get near this 1000, but it's possible. So, let's imagine a student who decides to pretty much attend all the time, which we encourage, but of course not everybody makes it every time. So let's say the student gets 1100 points for lecture attendance. And pretty much the same happens. It's almost perfect. The student has an almost perfect record for reading quizzes, gets, let's say, 2000. The student decides to do a book quest. It's less than perfect, but it's still pretty good. 900 points. The student posts just 3 blog posts, but they're all very good, so she gets 900 points. She comments 5 times, 500 points. There we go. The student does just 1 minor quest that ends up being 450 points. Doesn't do a major quest, but is a very good note taker and does most of the group's note taking. Pretty awesome. And she gets also just 80 random points. So there it is, 7,930 points. Now this is a pretty good guild. The guild decides to do a book group, so the guild gets 1000 points. The blog is solid, no complaints there. There we go. And the blog also gets all of its posts, and here we go. Perfect score again. The minor quests end up being pretty minimal in this group, but the guild still ends up getting 1500. This is unusual because it should be very easy to get the max score, but this doesn't happen. They do fortunately get the max score on the major quests. And note-taking, of course, is taken care of, and there we go. The point totals for the individual are 7,930 and 10,500. We move from this points tab to points to grade tab, and these numbers magically transport themselves to the top column, to the top row. And we just look up what the grades are. 7,930 amounts to a B+, 10,500 amounts to an A-. Very good. Now we look at these Michigan honor points, how letter grades are translated into points. So it's going to be 3.3 and 3.7. We move to the final tab. We plug in these numbers, 3.3 and 3.7, and we get just a notch under an A- as is appropriate, because individual effort still matters the most. How do we look up the final course grade? Well, here where the cutoffs are a little different than in the previous sheet, so that it's actually possible for you to get an A, even if your group doesn't quite amount to as good, for example, to an A. So it's possible to get an A if your guild's grade is an A- and yours is an A, and so on. So the same thing for all the other grades. So that's how it works. Pretty awesome.